Hello guys, Dan here. Welcome back to the channel. In today's short video I will show you how to paint Jelena Kovac. She's like a Serbian inspector for the Nomads faction. So this will be a really quick job. I will show you how to cut a lot of stuff by priming the model black, so we don't need to do that much of shading. So let's not waste any more time and let's start painting. As I said before, I will prime this model black, but this time I will prime it in 3 very thin layers. First thing that we will do today is to start painting the red parts of her cloak. I will use Mephiston Red, and I will paint mostly the rims of this cloak and the little armor details on her legs and on her hands. And since our base coat is black, we will need to apply this paint in 2 very thin coats to have a good coverage over the black. For her shirt, I used the Screamer Pink, and I did the same as in the previous step. I painted it in 2 very thin coats. It's very small detail. She have like a very little part of the shirt at the front and a little part on the back. For the metallic parts of her armor, I will base them first with the Eshin Grey. So there is a few clips on her coat and a couple of armor panels on her legs and a few on the arms. So I will paint them all with one very thin coat of the Eshin Grey. And the last part of her shirt I will paint with the Kreig Khaki. This is a very transparent color, so I had to apply this in 2 very thin coats as well. Now I will mix a little wash with the dark tone and the Quickshade washing medium. I will mix it 50-50, and then I will go over the model and I will wash all the parts that we previously painted so far. Only thing is I won't wash over the black because there is no point since everything is still black and we still need to highlight it. But everything else, please wash this in a proper thick coat. And then after that, give it a good 20-25 minutes for everything to dry properly before we can proceed to the next steps. First thing I have to do is to highlight the red parts. So I will use Evil's Scarlet, and I will start painting over the Mephiston Red, but this time I will cover most part of it, like 90% of the previous color. I won't go inside the recesses and inside of the places of shadows, but I will paint everything else, and I will do this in 2 very thin coats. And then after I'm done with that step, I will pick up a Troll's Lair Orange and I will highlight all the red parts. I will mostly do this with the edge highlighting, so I will go only on the sharpest edges and on the corners of her coat and highlight those areas. When you highlight the armor panels, you will go over the edges of the armor panels and draw the very thin lines around all the edges. For her shirt, we will go back first to the Screamer Pink, and we will start highlighting the areas that went too dark with our wash. So you can start highlighting the most raised areas, but you will leave all the shadows that are made with the wash intact. Then I will pick up a pink horror and I will use this to do a final and very little highlight on her shirt. I will highlight only the folds and the most erased areas of the shirt, and I will leave everything else intact. So as I said, this is a very little highlight and you don't need to do actually too much. And to finalize the shirt, we'll go back to Kreig Khaki and just do a little highlight on the bottom of her shirt. To start highlighting the metal parts, I use the medium sea gray, and I start highlighting the most raised areas and the corners of these metal parts. This is a very little highlight, so you don't need to go too much into it. Just make sure that you have a nice pointy brush and do a very little brush strokes, because these details are very small and it's very easy to mess up. After this stage I had a little problem with my camera and I lost the next 5 to 10 minutes of the footage, but I will show you now what I actually did on the model. It's not that many things, but it's a shame that I couldn't show you. The first thing is I used the white to finish off the metal parts. I just put a few white dots in the corners and on top of the panels just to create a little reflection. And then after that I used the Fenrisian Grey and I just edge highlighted her guns, her knife and the holster with this color. So this was only an edge highlight. And then after that I used the Sybarite Green for the glow of her LEDs and I just painted them with this color. Then I continue highlighting the LEDs. I used the mood green and I just went on very small areas, like on the top of these LEDs, and put a little bright dot. And on her gauntlets, on her hands, I just enhanced these little lines that she have. And now it's time to finish off with the rest of her black armor. We will use Eshin Grey and we will start highlighting the armor by pulling the edge highlights on the most raised areas with this. So it's nothing different as we haven't done before, just little thin lines on every edge, on every connection between the two armor panels. Just try to be neat and not to go all over the place, but it's a really easy highlight. And then after that I use the Scaven Blade Tinge as a very little highlight, just to put little dots and little edge highlights to finalize this armor. For her face I used the Bugmans Glow and I just base coated the whole face area. I only tried to avoid the eye sockets. I was trying to leave them as much as I could with the black color, and as this color is very thin, I had to apply this in 2 very thin coats to have a good coverage. For her hair I used the heavy brown. Only thing here is you need to be very careful when you're going to paint around her neck, so you don't paint by mistake the red parts that we already painted. For the eyes, I use the white. This model have a really good sculpted eyes, so I just pick up the white color and one of my smallest brushes, and I just painted the eye sockets with white. To make shadows on the head, I use the Guilliman Flesh, and I apply this color as a wash, and actually I repainted the whole head with this. So this is done with one very thick coat. Only thing is just clear the excess of this wash from the eye sockets. For this tactical rock that she's standing on, I will just paint it with the gunmetal, or if you don't have this color, any dark metallic color will do the job. So this is a very tint color, and I just slapped it around this rock and painted it in a quickly manner, nothing too special. To finish off the details on the face, I pick up the Cadian Fleshtone and I start highlighting the face. So with this first layer I covered most parts of the face, but I left all the recesses in the previous shade. So I didn't touch any eye sockets, I left the inside of the ears, I left the lips, I left the areas around the nose and under the nose with the previous color. And then for the final highlight, I pick up Kislev Flesh and I use this to highlight the most raised areas of the face. So I will use it on the top of the nose, on her forehead, on her cheeks and the lips as well. Then to finish off this metal container that she's standing on, I just used the dark tone. This is the pure dark tone, not diluted or anything, and I just heavily washed it. And for the end, the last thing that we have to do is to paint the pupils. I will pick up my smallest brush, a little of black paint, and I will just make a little dot in the middle of the eyes, just to draw the pupils. And that's it. I will transfer her to some base that I made it very simple. So this is just the Martian iron crust, dry brushed with some really bright brown color. And that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future content that I'm going to release. And stay safe, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.